Yeah, it's awesome. A full fire retardant suit that I have to wear in the tank.
I don't think we use retarded anymore.
Retardant.
Yeah, that's
retardant.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say that's politically incorrect.
That word's been scratched.
Yeah. Water. There's no turkey noises today.
It's safe now that we're past Thanksgiving to do turkey noises. Check Complete, a referee podcast, is an educational resource for referees by referees, designed to connect and develop soccer officials of all ages and skill levels to better serve the game both on and off the field. We're back with another episode of the Check Complete podcast, Season 2, Episode 12. Got a great episode in store for you, so thanks for tuning in. Gordie here, along with Peter Dulany. Peter, how are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
I think I'm doing well, yes. So Peter's our in-house guest co-host tonight, and then we're going to hear an interview with FIFA assistant referee Logan Brown that you definitely will not want to miss. So, Peter, before we launch into who you are, we were talking about this before we began rolling here, but in the state of Kansas, they published a final update for the end of the season that the Acacia administrators put out. So we have a soccer guy that publishes updates throughout the season. And so he included a final red card count, final red card data. So he gave us, this is a 6-year sample. So all the way back to 2018, he gave us how many red cards were given, total, the total red cards, and then the broken down between players and coaches. So going back all the way to 2018, so pre-pandemic, 108 red cards were given in the fall boys season. Kansas, we played boys in the fall, girls in spring. 98 to players, 10 to coaches. 2019, we had 118, 111 to players, 7 to coaches. 2020, we dropped all the way down to 84. I think that's interesting. Pandemic year. I don't know, people were just more well-behaved.
Yeah.
More
masks that you can't hear what they're saying.
Giant virus. I guess we're going to not do devious things. I don't know. 2021, everybody became crazy again. So we went up to 116, 110 to players, 6 to coaches. Last year, we had 111 total cards, 97 to players, 14 to coaches. And then this year, we are up the largest we've been since 2018, and probably further back than that even, because we don't have the data in front of us for this sample size is only these 6 years. This year we had 160 total records, 155 of those to players. That's wild.
That's crazy.
And you contributed how many?
I think 5 in total. So 3 to players and then a few to coaches this year.
Okay. I think I only had 1. I had a player, serious foul play, and then... Yeah, I think Oh! Stop it. My Siri was going off. Anyway, so interesting data. That is, I'd be curious to know what it looks like nationwide, how that compares across high school.
I think it's up this year, just in general.
Yeah. Fascinating. Yeah. Anyway, so just, if you know your state's data, we'd love to see what that looks like across. And I know some of you, the boys' side plays, so the data gets skewed because in some, like Nebraska and Iowa, they play the boys and the girls in the spring. Mm-hmm. So unless you could break it between boys and girls game, that's kind of skews the data, right? But I guess you could just take it collectively, how many we have in the girls' side, and so at the end of the year we could compare. But I'd be curious if you have that data available to you and you're watching or listening to this podcast in your state. We would love to know. Just send us a DM or a personal message, or you can email it to us, info@checkcompletepodcast.com. We'd love to know what that looks like. And if we are able to collect enough, we could do a breakdown, share it out on our social media. So I think that'd be fascinating. Just the high school side of things. So anyway, Peter, so glad to have you here. Let's hear a little bit about you. Let's start from the beginning. When and where were you born? No, okay, maybe not that far. How did you start refereeing? How did you start getting into this?
So I started playing soccer in general whenever I was about 4 years old. So
yeah.
On the rec side, like rush rec, everyone go chase after the ball.
Yeah, right. Bunch ball.
Yeah,
Right?
bunch ball, herd ball, as my dad.
That's
called
right.
It.
Yeah.
And then freshman year of high school, I wanted to get a job, but I didn't want to work at like McDonald's or like just the normal jobs that everyone gets.
Sure.
And since I was already playing soccer for 10 years at that point, I decided to try my little hand in refereeing.
Yeah.
And so at the same time, my mom, who actually also got certified with me.
Yeah.
And so we did it back whenever you had the 2 8-hour classes over at M&U, and you had to take your test there too. It was some of the worst days of my life.
2 long, grueling days,
Yes,
right?
It was terrible. But we got through that. And so now I've been doing it for almost 10 years. But my whole side of stuff has been very weird because I started 2014. 2019, I had to take that year off due to my high school and then being under contract with my church and everything like that. So that year I took off. Then I came back. And then 2021, I took 6 months out of that year off to go to basic training for the military.
Right.
And then now I'm back. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to take a whole year off. Hopefully just a year. We're going to hope and pray. Just a
Right.
year whenever I leave in January.
Right.
So it's been very... I've had chunks of times where I've been here, a lot of times, but there's been other seasons that I haven't been able to referee a lot.
Yeah.
So it's been fun trying to work that in and out and just seeing how unprepared I was in this season. But now it's kind of those breaks have given me a lot to look forward and grown up, become more mature on how to especially handle players and coaches with how they are nowadays with takes very little to spark an emotion in anyone nowadays. And
Sure.
so just having the real world experience on how to handle
Yeah,
situations.
right. As you just continue to grow and develop as a human being, and that those
Yep.
life skills contribute to effectiveness as a
Oh, yeah,
referee,
definitely.
no doubt. Okay, so yeah, I've been at it about 10 years, kind of off and on. Had life, which that happens, right? So many of us, there's other things that happen in life, and it pulls us in different directions. And so, but you've been able to stay involved on the outdoor side, but also, I know a big passion of yours is in the futsal side of things. So maybe we should have had you on the episode with Lance.
Yeah.
We should have done that. But anyway, futsal, big passion for you, right?
All right. Love it. All my heart.
Yeah. What do you like about futsal so much?
I think it's such a fast paced game. So
Yeah.
with me just wanting to know what all is going on at every moment, every minute of every day.
Oh, sure.
But it's such a fast moving game that you don't have that where sometimes in outdoor you have that game that's a 10-0 game and you're standing at midfield just
Bored.
twirling your flag.
Yeah.
But futsal, it's always back and forth. There's always something going on to keep you actually active and engaged in the game.
Yeah.
And so that's always kind of one thing that I loved. And then whenever I first started doing it, it was more of for futsal, you have to call a foul. Like as an AR, I don't necessarily have to raise my
Sure.
flag. But as futsal, they've taught us that if you see a foul, blow the whistle. So you have to become aware of how you blow your whistle, or all of our different whistle tones and everything like that. And it actually helps you become a better official outdoor as a center. And so I think that's the main thing that I've loved about it is it's helped on the outdoor side as well. It's transferred over there to actually not be, whenever I first started, being afraid of blowing that whistle. Like,
Yeah.
they're all gonna, like, well, oh, I blew the whistle, but now what? Like,
Yeah.
just kind of being that a little afraid of like what everyone's gonna think if I blow that whistle. But futsal, it's always you gotta call fouls. Like,
Yeah.
it's a very low contact sport, but
Right.
I've just fallen in love with it.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it's inside.
Yes, not in the Roland Park. You freeze.
Yeah. Well, that's true. That's true.
Everywhere else, it's pretty warm except for the dome.
So how has futsal contributed to your growth and development as an official? Is that a fair question to ask?
Yeah. So futsal, kind of like what I said before, it really helped me as a official to understand the laws of the game better.
Okay,
Because
sure.
futsal and outdoor, thankfully, this year the past couple years they made it pretty similar to
Right.
each other. So it's easier to transfer over my knowledge of the laws of the game from either outdoor to futsal or futsal to outdoor. The only big difference is law 11 offside. There is none in futsal.
Right.
But just knowing what a foul is, recognizing that it is a foul, and then just calling the fouls that you see is just really transferred over to understanding it more in the outdoor sense. Because futsal's it's on such a compact space that you are looking for more of the close, like whenever they get close to each other, more shoulder to shoulder stuff. Like so now you're an outdoor transfers over, so you actually understand what you're looking for on that. Whenever they start heading into the box, shoulder to shoulder, you're not just looking at the ball. Like you're looking at everything, their hands, feet, arm, all that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think the game, not to put words in your mouth, but I think the game, slows down when you get back out. Outdoor, right?
It does.
Because the pace
is so much slower.
Right. Yeah.
And then if you're on grass, it slows down to minute speed.
Yeah, right.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. So to go back, you talked a little bit about some of the growth that you've seen in your own life, things that refereeing has kind of informed you and shaped you and taught you. Are you able to pinpoint some things that you feel like you've been able to garner as a result of refereeing?
Say just being able to, on the field, is earn the respect of the coaches, but also off the field, knowing them and being able to have conversations with coaches and also mentors that help us out as referees is just being able, because even in a game, you have to be able to take some constructive criticism, as I call it.
Sure.
Like, you're not going to go out to a coach who has one opinion. Like, you're not going to do it. But being able to take that and actually think about that afterwards and self-reflect is the biggest thing that I've learned as a referee, is that you have to be able to self-reflect on that game. And then knowing the coaches now helps out, because you can talk to them after the game and possibly get the film and everything, look back and really see how much, like, what you can improve.
Yeah.
And so on the outside world is just really just self-reflecting on the day, on how you've acted with coworkers, friends, family, and stuff like that, and just trying to build healthier relationships with everyone and stuff like that.
I love that. I'm going to pull a couple things from it. One, you talked about just the relationship with the coach. I think sometimes the coach-referee interactions are oftentimes, we don't value them. We don't put a lot of emphasis on them. We see them as kind of a necessary evil rather than an opportunity to build a relationship of some kind. And for me, it's just a reminder that there's really no good reason to ever burn a bridge, right? Creating those relationships, nurturing those things on and off the field with people in the coach-referee world, but it really in anything in life, like you're saying, right? Which is awesome. And so I think that's huge. I think sometimes we just go, well, they're a coach and I'm a referee.
What they say doesn't matter.
Right. Screw them, and vice versa. They think we're just morons or whatever. It's like, no, we should have shared goals here. We should be able to get along. We should be able to nurture a relationship here and work together. And then the feedback piece and the self-reflection piece, I know that's something that I have. And it sparked however many episodes ago when we had Jeff Swartzel talking about this on the podcast, about how important self-reflection has been. And it's something that I think as we do, our tournaments and things in our state, we do surveys after the tournament to go, how was your experience? We sit down and we reflect from our end of things, our leadership side of things, but then even just personally, how did I perform in my administrative role, or if I got on the field, how did that go? And I've learned to apply that in my own life and tried to. I've journaled a lot more in the last probably 5 months than I probably have ever in my life. I enjoyed doing it. It was so sporadic, but now it's become that process. So I don't mean to pull away from detract from what you're saying. I hope what I'm saying is adding to it, because what you have highlighted there are such massive, building blocks to a human being, being able to nurture relationships, communicate well, and develop those, and then just reflect, going, okay, what can I learn from this?
Yeah.
How can I be a better person? And realizing the things that aren't yours to own in the process, right? Coaches yelling different things. Like, wait a second, maybe you're upset because of something else. So I'm not going to say that everything is mine to own, but if there is something in there that I can grow and develop on or from, then I'll take it.
Yeah.
And I'll nurture it, and I'll put it into my self-reflection and application for the next game. So military-wise, this is what outside of soccer looks like for you. What branch of the military are you in?
So I am Army National Guard.
Army National Guard.
Yep.
Okay. And you are getting ready to depart in January.
That is correct.
Right. Off you go. Okay. And that's supposed to be.
I should be back before Christmas of next year, is what we're hoping for right now.
Gotcha. But that could be kind of.
That they can move it up or they can extend it.
Right. Absolutely. Okay. You were able to, you wanted to accomplish some goals before you were deployed. So you've had some accomplishments recently. Can you expand on that?
Yeah. So one of them, unfortunately, I can't do. I just don't have time. I can't go after my regional futsal badge that I wanted to for so long now. But I was able to this year upgrade to a regional outdoor referee.
Yes.
And so I finished all that, and then it'll be a little different not being able to do any games for this next year. But I'll figure that out once it happens, and 2025 is just...
You mean there's not like some pickup soccer on an Army base somewhere that you can put a VO up for and get a maintenance assessment on?
These are Army guys, like they're just going to be killing each other out there on the field.
I think man management's going to be put to work here. Really.
Well, see, then they get mad at me, and if they're in my unit, we all sleep in a big old tent.
Yeah, that's right. The tickle fights might get a little awkward. Yeah. Who knows? I don't know. But that could be interesting.
It'd be very interesting, but unfortunately, I don't think I could do that.
Okay, well, if you do,
I'll let you know.
Let us know, and we'll report back to our Check Complete audience on that. Very good. Well, that's great. So we've rounded you out, right?
Yep.
We've got passion for futsal. You've been refereeing for 10 years on and off in different capacities, and now you're getting ready to go overseas. Long-term goals, long-term things, looking 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road. Soccer or otherwise? So
on the soccer side, hopefully in the next about 5 years, go on the national side for outdoor. And then slowly but surely, my end goal is I can't talk today at all.
Yeah, words are hard. Keep going.
Become a FIFA futsal referee is my end goal on that.
Very good.
So that is what my goal is. So it's different than what most people in Kansas want to do.
Sure.
We're in the middle of nowhere. There's not much futsal here, so I want to go the FIFA route on that side.
Very good.
And then outside of soccer, I don't really know what my end goal is.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't really have it set in stone. Kind of depends on how this deployment goes.
Sure.
And
yeah. Just see what happens. Co-own a Waffle House. Run a bed and breakfast on the side, perhaps.
Yeah. You never know.
You never. Yeah. I'm just thinking of things I know that would be pretty glamorous.
You just run the Check Complete out of there. Call it good.
Maybe you could. Yeah. There you go. Who knows? Very good. Well, you got a lot of time. How old are you now?
23.
23. He's a spring chicken, guys. 23 years old.
Still 17.
Yeah, that's bonkers. It's 10 years my junior. Thank you for making me feel that way.
No problem, Gordie.
Gosh, as I shovel ibuprofen down my throat before every game. So, very good. Well, Peter, thanks for your time, man. And we are proud of all that you've done and are thankful for the service that you are providing to our country. And we wish you the best as you embark in this, a lot of unknown of the next year. And know that you have a referee family that is, thinking of and praying for you and supporting you, and can't wait to have you back to help you continue to achieve your goals. So, thanks for your time to be on the podcast today. We'll revisit some time with Peter in our outro, but in the meantime, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with an interview with FIFA assistant referee Logan Brown. The Check Complete podcast is brought to you in part by JF Consulting Tax Preparation and Bookkeeping. Taxes suck, we can help.
All right, I'm excited, really excited today to sit down virtually, although I would prefer if we were sitting down in person in your neck of the woods, Logan, because it would be warmer than it is here. But I am excited to sit down with FIFA assistant referee Logan Brown. Logan, first of all, thank you so much for taking time to chat. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, glad to be here. And I would absolutely guarantee it is warmer here in Florida than it is in Kansas.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're catching up to you, but it's a slow, we won't get there. But anyway, Logan, so thrilled for this conversation. Thanks for saying yes. And just anxious to hear more about your story and some lessons you've learned and have some conversations here. So if you wouldn't mind, just give us a little bit of an introduction about who you are, and then we'll go more into the beginnings of you as a soccer referee.
I'd be glad to. Hello, everyone. I'm Logan Brown. I come from the state of Florida, although I currently live in New Jersey. I still have a lot of family here in Jacksonville, Florida, which is where I'm at the moment. I'm 33, and I started refereeing at about 14 years old. I know this because I just took my recert for U.S. soccer on some of the safe sport. And I looked at it, and it said 19 years experience. And I almost felt like that wasn't real, because it's flown by so fast. I've had an incredible ride, and it's been a great experience up to this point. Obviously, I still have a few things I'd like to do in my career that some of my colleagues and some of the other guests on your show have been able to accomplish. So I'm hoping to follow in their footsteps. But it's been a tremendous ride, and I'm really glad that you've asked me to be here today, and I can share some of my background.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. So let's dive into that beginning time. What got you into this crazy world of soccer refereeing?
Yeah, I used to play at a pretty high level. And as a teenager, one of my coaches sat us down before practice and actually got out a whiteboard in the middle of a soccer field and started drawing lines and squares and soccer balls and different colors. And he said, okay, we're going to learn about the rules, because if you're going to yell at the referee, you're going to sound intelligent. And he was looking behind us at our parents. And I kind of turned around and I looked at my parents. And if anybody knows my father, I love him, but he is very passionate, and he's a military guy. So, as were other fathers on that team and mothers. So my coach was from the military, and he is very, by the book. So he sat everyone down and went through the rules. He showed us what the ball in and out was, what a goal kick was, what offside was. And that was my first introduction to refereeing. That was when I was 12. I wasn't able to referee until the age of 14 in the state of Florida at the time. This is back in, I'm going to age myself here, 2004. So as I was of age at that point, I took the first, what would be grassroots today. At that time, it was called grade 8, the introductory referee course. I was absolutely nervous, and I don't even know how I passed the test, to be honest, because as a player, you don't really think about the rules. But it brought a whole new light to things. And I just always enjoyed being out on the field. I can remember at the club days at 14, 15, still playing. I really enjoyed it. Obviously, as a kid, there's nothing better than being handed a few dollar bills and 20s after doing a few games, right? There's nothing that compares to that. But as I got older, it absolutely wasn't about that at all. I have to remind myself that, you get paid to do it, because I truly love refereeing. It's always a challenge. But that's where I started, was on a soccer field with a whiteboard.
Wow.
Yeah.
Side note, man, I would love it if more coaches would do what you just described. Because I think that could maybe save a few referee careers out there. I've seen many of our 14 to 18-year-old referees get run off fields over a lack of intelligence of the game. So that may that increase, I suppose. But
I hope so too.
Yeah. So, okay, interesting. So you jumped in that way. And now, did you play and referee for a long time? Were those simultaneous, or how did that go about?
Yeah, I did. I played up until I was 18, right before college. I actually broke my collarbone pretty bad. I shattered it and had to have reconstructive surgery. In fact, I still have a plate in there today. So it was at that point I said, you know what? I'm good. I don't want to play at a professional level. I'd already broken my nose, broken my ankle. Those didn't stop me, but having reconstructive surgery and being out for almost 3-4 months, that took a toll on me. I also I came from a state that offered some scholarships if you did well enough in high school. So I was able to go to school and have most of it paid for without needing to have an athletic scholarship. So for me, it really wasn't a tough decision after I took that injury.
Interesting. What position were you playing?
So I started as a striker because I was fast, but as I got older, I got taller and slower. So I transitioned to more of the midfield role. I took a lot of the set pieces, free kicks. I was more of a placement guy and a finesse player than sort of the brute on the field or the heavy hitter. So that's just where I ended up, was left mid.
Gotcha. I've never asked one of our guests this before, but I'm curious. You talk about injuries. I'm curious.
Mhm.
Have you had any like crazy injuries refereeing?
Ooh, obviously not thinking of my own injury. I have witnessed, I wasn't on the game. I was actually walking to the field. I've witnessed a teenage player go to dive for the ball and didn't realize the post was there. And the post was a square. It wasn't rounded like it is today. And she sliced her head right open. That was terrifying. I've also witnessed, this wasn't in the game of soccer, it was a rugby, but I've witnessed a referee actually collapse of a heat stroke, and I was told later by my family that referee passed away. So I've seen some pretty gruesome things and tragic things on the field.
Yeah. That might be a segment we might need to add, because I know that everybody it's like a train wreck. You can't look away, but you kind of want to hear the stories about injuries and things. I don't know. But anyway, it definitely, these games definitely produce it. But you personally, you haven't really had an injury prone referee career, have you?
I've knock on wood.
Right.
I have been very fortunate. I think just minor things here or there, but nothing major.
Yeah. Good stuff. So 18, we stopped playing. We got a plate in our chest, and so now we're switching more to refereeing. You're in college, and now what does that trajectory look like on the referee side, especially?
Yeah, I refereed college a little bit. I actually found it quite challenging to referee college while in college, not because there was zero conflict, of course. My school that I went to didn't have a great program, number one, and number two, you can't referee your own school. So I refereed a little bit in college, but from a U.S. soccer point of view, I was part of the Florida Referees Academy under Joe Mickna, which is now Christina Uncle runs the Florida State Referee Program. And I actually came up with Christina, so that's one of the fun stories as well. But that's where I started, and in college I just kept refereeing. As I got older and more mature myself, some of my friends or family may argue that point, but as I became older, I should say, I was able to handle some of the more advanced or higher level games. And then I moved to New Zealand to study abroad for just over half of a year. So I was able to referee when I was there. Thanks to Ricardo Salazar, who set me up with somebody named Peter O'Leary, who was a World Cup official. So I was able to continue refereeing when I was there, which was a huge opportunity. I did what would be compared to like Sunday League, your adult amateurs. And eventually, after I was 21 at the time, was able to do their New Zealand Premier League, which is the same league that Auckland City comes from. And they have also played in tournaments such as the Club World Cup. So to be appointed to games as a foreigner in another country, not knowing the teams at 21, obviously is a huge risk for them, but it opened up a lot of doors for me too.
Wow, interesting. That is fascinating. So as you go along there, then because now you're in the assistant referee role. At that point, had you begun specializing, or what did that look like?
I always tended to be better on the line. I felt that a lot of my assessments reflected that as well. It's a different skill set. I can referee in the middle, no problem. Again, some people might argue that point, but you do have to have a foundational skill set. All joking aside, you really have to. You have to be able to referee a game because when you're on the line, you have to be able to see the game from a referee's point of view, know what they might be looking at, and as you get more experience, you probably do know what they're looking at. And you need to be able to help them. In a rare case, you might have to go in. So you definitely need to develop that skill set as much as you can. I did the highest level whistle I ever did at the time was PDL, which is like USL 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah. At about 23, I'm guessing on the age there. I don't know exactly. I want to say at about 23, I was told, yeah, you're going to go on the line. So at that point, it was pretty obvious. There was the National System of Free Track that was introduced. So I was able to really focus on that, and I didn't need to get the referee assessments anymore, although I did middle still and still do to this day, but it wasn't required at a certain level to maintain the AR badge.
Interesting. And so if you're going to blow a whistle somewhere, where would you do that now?
So I actually referee high school. I'm laughing because my brother is the one that got me back into it. I absolutely love it. In fact, I would go referee a U8 soccer game right now if somebody asked me to, because there's no game that you're above. It doesn't matter what level you, whether you have a white badge or not. A game is a game. And my brother loves refereeing as well. He hasn't gone as far as I've been able to, but he still enjoys it. He had so many questions all the time of, in this situation, this would happen. And I was like, in my mind, I'm a visual person as well. So I'm drawing these wild scenarios, and I'm probably giving him the worst advice. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to go out there and referee with you. Is that okay? And he's like, wait, you would do that? I'm like, yeah, why not? He's like, you'll go back and do high school? Absolutely. Let's go. So I called up the assigner, who was still the assigner when I was here, living in Florida. And when I would come visit my brother for a few weeks in the winter, I would referee. So that's where I've blown some whistles is high school. It's funny enough.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm assuming you're getting screamed off the field there too by parents, right? Like you have no idea.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's the best part of it, is I just sit there and I smile, because there's nothing more that I love than, putting on a jersey and being a referee again for it doesn't matter, but I don't want them to know what I do, because I'm out there to referee that game, and that game is as important as any other. So I don't want, the resume to have this, I don't want it to distract from what I'm there to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's great when and then sometimes they'll figure it out, or if I see them again later in the high school season, they're like, you didn't tell me you did that. And I'm like, yeah, because it's not important. Like, I'm here to do your game today. And they just smile or whatever. And, and I go, yeah, and he's going to be your referee. And I point to my brother, and I'm like on the, there's 3 whistles in Florida in high school. So,
oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but it's still fun. I love it. You might be able to tell from the cheesy smile on my face. It's just so much fun, to help. And then I get to practice my coaching and mentoring skills with my own brother, and maybe if the other officials are out there, maybe the assigner puts me with a younger person to help them. I love it. It's part of giving back.
That's awesome. That's so cool. I love that.
Yeah.
So breaking into the MLS, how long ago was that for you?
Yeah, good question. 25.
Okay.
25.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So what was, you on the line, right? They get you out there, you have some trial opportunities. What were those experiences like?
Yeah. So 25 for people, that's 2015. So the trial game was an experience. I remember it was Orlando, New England, in Gillette Stadium. And it was the end of the season. This is when Kaká was playing for them.
Okay.
And I just remember Mark Geiger was the referee. Greg Barkey was the other AR.
Oh my!
We didn't have VAR back then, so it was just the 4 of us, and the 4th official was Jorge Gonzalez. Definitely a purposeful assignment looking back, and I just remember being absolutely nervous. Still thinking about that day, I am, and it was great to have, obviously, with Mark's experience at that time, but also too with Greg having gone to a World Cup, Jorge having hundreds of games. They just sat me down, and Mark just said, I just need you to call offside. I don't care if you miss a foul right in front of you. I'll get it. Just focus on offside. And that took a lot of pressure off my shoulders. And it really helped. And then in the game, thankfully, the game was actually maybe one of the more easy MLS games I've done. Looking back at my career, it really was. There was one decision. It was an offside decision. It wasn't very difficult. So just being able to get through the game, make the easy decision, there really wasn't anything I did that, wrote me off from that point. So I survived, as we say, and I was able to get another game the following season.
And that was 2 years before VAR, right? So you were not, there was no...
Good question. I want to say it was about 2 years. I think 2017.
That's what I have in my brain.
Was when it came. came into the league. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. And then, all right. So then the next step where you're at with this white badge. All right.
Mhm.
What was that experience like? I'm sure getting that email, getting that notification was probably all the feels, as they say.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. So 2020, I was appointed to the FIFA panel for the first time. And as most people, looking back, 2020 was a really, it was a great year in many aspects from a personal standpoint with being able to go on the FIFA panel. But obviously with what was going on in the world, it was very tragic. So it was kind of the moment of my career that I look back. It was a really big year as well. There was a lot of things that went on the field, but I just remember, so getting the email, I was flying on a plane. I remember I was flying to a game. I don't even know which one it was. Just checking my emails on a normal day and refresh it and see an email from Rick Eddy. The subject just has FIFA in it. And I'm like, what? And I open it and it says, congratulations, you've been selected to be a part of the 2020 US Soccer assistant referee FIFA pounds. Like, my eyes got real big and I just like kind of looked around and I was like, I felt like the world just kind of shrank and everything got slow. And I was like, wait, what? This is kind of cool. Like, it was unbelievable. So of course, then you have to respond to the email. That's the hardest part. You're like, what do I say? You type. You're like, you don't want to put like, OMG, thank you so much. You got to be professional. So, you're sitting there and you're like, this should be the easiest email of your life. It's all it has to be is, thank you very much. Like a standard insert HR response here. But I really just sat there for a second. I put the phone down and I just, I replied back in a few minutes. But
new phone, who dis?
Right? Yeah.
Phone,
Wrong email. Thank you. Yeah. Return to sender. But yeah, just getting the news was incredible. And, then finding out who else was on the panel that year coming in. And it's been a great ride. 2020 was an interesting year for me. Probably one of the most important games of my life, looking back. One of the biggest games a lot of people might remember. So I can maybe touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, well, let's do that. Which one are we referencing here?
Yeah, so many people probably remember a very infamous game for many reasons. It was Orlando, New York City in the playoff game in 2020.
Oh, right, yeah.
So I was the assistant referee on that game, and I was also on the kicks from the marker. I was the assistant referee on the line with the goalie. So, I mean, without, saying all the details that went into it, everyone is probably aware, but those are the games you learn a lot from. So thankfully by law, everything was correct. Obviously we got through it, but you grow together in those games a lot, with the referee and your teammates. You just have to learn from those, mistakes in some ways, but also from those moments, because they don't happen often. And it would be a disservice to yourself, but also to the game and what you're trying to accomplish if you don't, take time to understand how it happened, why it happened. Thankfully, what was it, 2 weeks ago, did kicks from the mark, and that one is smooth as, a morning lake in the winter with no wind, right? Like, it was super smooth. Obviously, if there's anyone that's an expert on kicks from the mark and the law, it probably would be myself and the referee who went through that. I can smile about it today, but you get through those moments because, you have a good support system around you, people reaching out who've, had similar, games, and just, offering their support, because that's what it's about. It's easy to sit there and congratulate people when they get assigned a World Cup. Everyone wants to do that. But what people don't want to do, and I say this intentionally, is they don't want to reach out when things are difficult because they don't know what to say.
That's right.
All I can say is say something. It means a lot, even if it's, hey, I'm here for it if you need something. That's it. You don't have to write a dissertation, but just being there for people at their highs and their lows is what it's about at this level in your career.
It's beautiful. I think there's so much truth in that. And so I guess a follow-up question would be, as you've gone on your journey, I'm sure we don't have enough time here to really outline all of the highs and the lows, I'm sure, along your path, and with many more to come on both ends of the spectrum. So the keys to your success, I know this seems like a whopping question, so if it's unfair, we can Go, if you can just tell me to shut up and we can move on.
Good.
But keys to your success, it sounds like part of that, right, is this support system. What else for you along the way could you point to? And I know the danger, of course, is always leaving something out, but just things you could point to along the way that, like, I'm successful today because of fill in the blank.
Oh, there's a few ways I'd fill that in. Support system and mentors as well. I think mentors is huge. People that are going to be honest with you. You know, when you make a mistake, a clear mistake, you have to be able to recognize it. Number one, you have to be able to admit it as well. And you have to be honest with yourself. You're not going to fool anyone after a certain point. You know, when you're doing games where you don't have VAR, you don't have, 20 different camera angles where you can say, oh, that one makes it look right. That's not going to happen at the professional level. I'm here to tell you. You have to make the decisions that are obviously right for the game, number one, within the law of the game. But you need to do things in a way that is fair. And if you're not fair with yourself, you're not going to be able to grow and become a better referee and understand, okay, how did I make the mistake? Was it because I was in a poor position? I wasn't looking at the right thing. Maybe you just missed it. Maybe you're doing all the right things and you just came out with the wrong answer. That happens. But you have to be able to deconstruct the play and be honest with yourself, have a good mentor to offer their advice if they've been through that before. And I think that's the turning point for people, is when they can do that, they can really step in and own their mistake and own their own success as well, because from the mistakes is where you learn. You don't learn from having a great game every game. If you watch ESPN documentaries or you watch anything, it's all about the lows that people go through. And sometimes they're tremendously low, but it makes the ride to the top of the wave when they've reached that ultimate high in their career feel and seem that much better because they were able to get through some really tough moments. I think the other thing too is you have to have fun. If you follow my Instagram, I'm not out there for any other reason other than to just share what goes on, some behind the scenes. Not everyone's willing to do it, and that's fine. I get it. It's personalities, but I really think that if you have fun with it in your own way, you keep it professional, of course, you'll find that it's an enjoyable career. You can have fun with this. Obviously, the players do. Why can't you? You don't see all the players on, social media or just even when you're talking with them. They're real people. They crack a joke. They smile. They admit when they're wrong. We do it in game. You're a person. You're a human being. So to just be able to take down that guard of everything has to be perfect, because it's not going to be. But control what you can and just have fun with it. That's the most important thing.
Yeah. Man, so many good little sound bites out of that I wish I could pull from. I think you talked about the sports system, you talked about mentoring, you talked about, I think the having fun piece is massive. And especially for newer referees, that's one of those things where when I get a chance to go and work with brand new referees, it's like, I want first and foremost for their desire after this to be, I want to come back next week. And so can we make that happen? At your level, some of that is social media, right? You have fun, and it is fascinating to get in the car karaoke or whatever else might come
Carpool
out.
karaoke, yes, there's more to come, by the way. So
well, I'm ready. I basically have the notifications on at this point. So but is it difficult to maintain fun at a level where the scrutiny is as high as it is, and the feedback from players sometimes appears as negative as it can be? Now that we're in postseason, especially, is it difficult to maintain that? How do you do that?
You got to find the right moments. Every referee is different. So without, I don't need to name names, of course, because everyone does it their own way. But there are certain referees that I know when I see the assignment, there's not going to be a behind this. There's not going to be carpool karaoke, because that's them. And as an assistant, we're in the back seat in a figurative way. But the referee is really the leader of the team. And if that's the way they want to conduct it, I have to respect that. And I do. I don't try to alter things. I think over time, there's been a couple that have opened up and have actually taken part in it. But that's how I maintain the fun is, you find your moments. If the referee is pretty serious and he or she is cracking a joke at some point, that's your opening to, maybe, be more of who you really are, and crack that joke back at them. But you got to be able to recognize that sometimes every environment is different. And sometimes if I've been able to joke around with the referee in the past, but this is a very different game, you got to be able to read the room. You got to be able to say, okay, this isn't the time and the place for that. Maybe it's after the game. And that's kind of what I've done, is just trusted my gut with that and said, you know what? I know who I'm working with for the most part now. So I know what their personality is and what we're going to be able to do. And if they are more of the laid back type, or they're, a little bit more serious.
Yeah.
So.
Well, fans, if you pay the $10 on Patreon, you'll hear the interview where Logan does name names. So follow the link in our no, I'm just kidding.
No, you're good.
No, and I think we've all been there, right? That there's crews that you feel like, okay, well, this could be. We got to make sure we stay on task tonight, and others where that's not going to be a problem because we're working with Mr. or Mrs. Black and White, and we're going to keep things very much. So no doubt. Yeah, no doubt. So along the lines of having fun, we introduced as a couple Biggs, and then we had an episode. Well, at the time we're recording this, it hasn't aired yet, but Lance Van Heetsma as well, where we are now doing This or That's.
Oh boy,
this has been, I think, a lot of fun. We will see how this goes, but I think you'll have fun with this, Logan, knowing your personality. So,
no judgment.
So we have several. No, this is a judgment-free zone, right? Wherever you're listening to this, in your car, if you're watching this wherever while you're vacuuming or whatever, there's just know we're entering a no judgment zone. We've got several of these prompts. Obviously, you get to choose one or the other, and you're welcome to just choose with no explanation, but I will say the explanation is more fun if you'd be willing to provide. So, okay. All right, we'll start with ice cream or cake.
I have a huge dairy intolerance, so I'm going to go with any one of those that's lactose free.
Okay.
But ice cream for sure.
That's fair. Okay. Coffee or tea?
100% coffee. In fact, I have some right here. So
Good man. Yes. Excellent. Next time you're in Kansas City, I'll send you some coffee shop recommendations, just like I sent to Rubiel. All right. Beach or mountains? I think I know this answer, but maybe
beach.
not.
Couldn't say that fast enough.
There it is. I figured I knew that, but I thought I'd ask it just in case.
No, of course, beach.
Okay. iPhone or Android?
Come on, it's one answer. iPhones. They're if I see a green text, no. Don't be that person.
Especially if it's a group message and suddenly now we can't send videos.
They're holding up the group.
Who are you? All right. Night owl or morning person?
Oh gosh, I'm really a night owl. I'm okay in the morning. I'm not like, don't talk to me. I definitely need my coffee, but I'm a night owl. Like I sent an email last night at work at like 12:50 in the morning, and I'm sure my boss was like, what is he doing?
Oh, beautiful. I'm a night owl as well. And I've learned that if I time emails out to go out at 8 a.m., it looks like I'm a morning bird. So I think I've beat the system, except for someone calls me and then they're like, hey, I got your email. And I'm not.
Well, my boss is in the UK. Most of my career has been in the UK or Germany or other parts of the world. So for me, if there's an email going out at 8 a.m., I think they're going to like look at me sideways. So, but that is not a bad idea. That's actually something I might need to do.
It's free to use if you like it. I passed one. I know the answer to this, I think, based on Instagram. Cats or dogs?
Oh, cats. But to be fair, I've always had dogs growing up when I was living with my parents at the time. I love dogs. I love cats. I have 3. In fact, I'm surprised you might have heard one just a minute ago. That was Asher. They're kind of hungry. But I have 3 of them. So definitely cats, but I would love to have dogs if I was home more.
Yeah. See, that's the thing for sure. Yeah. All right. Let's go to, now we're kind of referee specific stuff. So referee weather, you rather working in hot or cold?
Oh my gosh, never let me referee in the cold. Ask Rubiel, or as we call him, Cuba.
Yes.
We suffer. So 100% warm weather. I'll sweat to death every day of the week. Cold is not my thing. So
Fair enough. Fair enough. Cleats or flats?
always cleats, always. But with a little bit of a caveat, I have worn flats, so I can't say always. As an assistant, cleats are a must. I understand sometimes referees and even ARs, they have like Achilles issues or some other things, that's fine. But, I'm a cleats person. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
We
wear
have
what
our new
works for you.
referee.
Wear
Yes,
what works
right.
for you. What else I do?
A lot of our newer referees are like, what should I wear? I'm like, well, if you're going to do 6 games in a row, youth games, then probably get some comfy shoes.
Please wear comfy shoes.
Yes.
If I see you in cleats and I'm mentoring and it's your 6th game and you're in cleats, I'm going to ask when your shin splints started, because I know you have them at that point. So.
That's right. Not if, but when. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Comms or no comms?
Oh, no comms. They're so much better because you're forced to look at people. Comms is great, right? Because you can say things and you can, have fun. But I think no comms is more fun because you really got to referee. You got to figure it out, especially on the tough game. So I'm going to go with no comms.
Okay. All right. There you go. I think Big said no comms too. So this is 2 for 2 for ARs. Yeah. All right. Okay. So AR specific question. When it comes to flags, beepers or the old school, the analog?
Oh, well, so I'm going to say beepers, but I don't use the beeper part. It's the flag itself. It's much more comfortable.
Yeah.
A lot of referees don't wear the beeper anymore. There are some who do. Some that like to make it look like, they work out. Obviously, they want to look like they've got 2, massive biceps, like they've been in the gym just 5 minutes before the game.
Right.
And that's fine. I would probably do the same thing if I was them, to be honest, but nobody wears the beeper anymore. So I'm going to go with beeper flags, but just because they're more comfortable. Old school's fine. Somebody tried to use them the other day. Oh, who was that? What game was I?
Spill the tea.
Oh no. Who was this in? This one. This is an MLS game. I forget the assistant, I really do. But they wanted to bring out the old school flags, and it was like the foam handle thing, and the handle's like this long, because on the beeper flags they're much bigger. And so they pulled this out, and I was like, "What is this?" And they're like, "Oh, we're going to use them." And it's like, "No, we're not." Put those back in your bag. In fact, those go to the 4th official table to never be used. But
yes.
Yeah, they're like, "Your flags are mine," and I was like, we're going to use my flags. And they were just like, okay. So beepers.
I feel like there was several years ago in some sort of game, I want to say it was a CONCACAF game of some kind.
I've done it in a CONCACAF game in Gold Cup without a beeper.
Without a beeper. Well, I thought I saw a NISOA set of flags being used at some high level games. Because I remember this was like a screenshot and got passed around a bunch of us ref nerds that we saw a set that was being used somewhere. We were like,
I think I was on that. I'm not whispering because I don't want people to know, but I think I was. Because
that's amazing.
Reminds me. Yeah, I actually don't remember whose they were, but
yeah,
I've used flags and I was like, won't they see this? And they're like, no, it's too small. I was like, okay. I don't think anyone cares.
No, yeah. Well, the people that care don't see it probably, but us, the nerdy folks that pick up on all the little details, like the ref nerds, we're all over that stuff.
Yeah. Would you like to know a fun fact?
I would. 100%.
I hope everyone's made it this far. So, fun fact:
CONCACAF
has their own flags.
Yes, they're like the elongated diagonal.
It's the same logo as the CONCACAF logo, actually.
Oh.
I wish I had them near me. I don't. Maybe on the next episode.
Send
Asher. They gave you a pair, and they want you to use them. So you switch out your flag for when you're on a CONCACAF assignment. You put their flag on there, and you use it. It looks just like the logo with the stars. It's actually a really nice flag, to be honest. So it looks pretty cool. It's very similar to the ones that you typically see on the World Cup style or the FIFA style with the very they're like diamonds, but they're in a very strict pattern. Very similar, but this one is more of the CONCACAF logo. So they're pretty cool. I think that's a little neat feature of working in CONCACAF. You get to use their flags.
And I'm sure you get a lot of interesting experiences working CONCACAF assignments. I'm sure.
Oh yeah, very different. CONCACAF is a whole nother world. Forget getting into MLS and stepping out of the what is now USL. And even MLS. It's very different expectations. More
Interesting.
difficult for sure.
Yeah.
But that's just any international game. You get to meet a lot of wonderful people. I've made some really great friends with CONCACAF. But yeah, CONCACAF is probably, and some people might not know this, it is such a diverse confederation. You've got the Caribbean, you've got a ton of different languages that are being spoken, different cultures, different levels of soccer or football. You've got Central American powerhouses, you've got Caribbean power, you've got such a diverse group in CONCACAF that it really challenges you as a referee. You got to bring your entire game to the field because you're going to need it.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's good. Yeah.
That's probably a whole nother episode right there.
Oh yeah. CONCACAF is fun, but it's fun. It's so much fun because you never know what's going to happen sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the beauty in it, right? You kind of keeps you on your toes.
Right. Yeah. Right. Absolutely. Well, as we sadly wind down, I've got one question I'd love to ask is if you could go back and tell first year, first month, brand new referee, Logan, some advice, knowing what you know now, what would that sound like?
It's okay to make a mistake. It's okay. It's going to happen. I think there's this perception you have to be perfect. So don't worry. If you're a new referee, we're just glad that you're out there. We are seeing the numbers drop significantly. And I say that as well intentionally because we are seeing a dip in those numbers. The abuse is terrible. I've witnessed it myself as a mentor. Be brave and don't be afraid to speak out to your clubs. And, obviously, as I said, if I could go back when I make a mistake, that's what I want to learn from. But when others are not doing the right thing, like say something. Say something to the club, say something to the people that are there, because if it's happening to you, I guarantee you it's happening to other people.
Yes.
And one of the best pieces of advice I've ever been given, and to give this man full credit, his name is Chris Kenny in the state of Florida. Chris, I still say this to myself almost every game, and that is what you allow, you encourage. What you allow, you encourage. And if you allow the behavior to continue, you are silently encouraging it. Yeah. And so say something. But yeah, it's okay to make a mistake. Be honest with yourself. That's my final answer.
That's awesome. Logan, I could talk to you for a lot longer. This has been a wonderful conversation. I'm so appreciative of your time, of what you're doing, just professionally, the way mentoring, giving back, giving us a behind the scenes look through social media, all of that stuff. It's awesome. So thank you for everything. On behalf of our whole team and our audience, we appreciate your time today. So I guess I'll give you, if there's any other words of wisdom that you're not gonna be able to sleep tonight if you don't say this on the Check Complete podcast, you can finish us off with this.
Not at all. I just don't know if this came through, but my cat is down here screaming, and I don't know if she's saying thank you for letting, for this, and thank you. I got to feed her, but if you heard her, no, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. In all seriousness, it's been a fun experience. This is my first podcast, so I hope everyone enjoys it. But more importantly, I hope, maybe if you invite me back, we can share some different stories, or maybe we can do something with a few others on the panel as well. And it's been a fun experience. So thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll definitely have you back. So, all right, Logan, thank you for your time. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Gordie. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.
The Check Complete podcast is brought to you in part by JF Consulting Tax Preparation and Bookkeeping. Taxes suck, we can help. This has been Season 2, Episode number 12 of the Check Complete podcast. Peter Dulany, guest co-host, and our, headliner guest. Not that you're not a headliner for us. Wow. As well. I know.
I feel attacked.
You should. A FIFA assistant referee, Logan Brown. Big shout out to Logan for his time. Phenomenal conversation. What a great dude, and we're excited to see. He's got a good MLS playoff assignment coming up here, and more opportunities down the road in his career. But Peter, thanks for your time, man.
Thank you for having me.
Has your Check Complete podcast experience lived up to all of your hopes and dreams?
It has.
Wow.
I got to see you.
Oh, man. Go home. Dear Diary, I saw Gordie. XOXO. Until next time. Yeah. Very good. Well, Peter, thanks again for your time. Thank you, listener/watcher, for engaging with the podcast. And make sure that you like this video, subscribe to our channel on the YouTubes. If you're not already, subscribed or following us on whatever your audio-only platform is, if that's how you decide to listen to the podcast, make sure you actually do that. And give us a follow on our social media as well. I don't feel like that's a big ask, But if you've got Twitter or X, I guess, now that it is, who knows what it is. If you've got the Instagrams, Facebook at check_complete on Instagram and Twitter/X, and then Check Complete Podcast on Facebook. So make sure that you're doing that. We, again, as a reminder, if you have your state, the high school numbers, if you played high school soccer this fall, either boys and girls or boys or whatever it is, we would love to know the red card numbers from that just to see if there's a trend nationally as far as an increase in red cards. So kind of interesting data to compare. But thanks again, Peter. We appreciate you, man. Best wishes through the holiday season. Enjoy all that, and our thoughts and prayers with you as you ship out in January.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes. This has been Season 2, Episode 12 of the Check Complete Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, be safe out there. We'll see you soon.